Yo, what is up guys, Ghost here. Welcome back to another Delta Force video. In this one, I'm going to be going over how to set up your weapons in the game. I think a lot of people are confused right now about why their guns have so much recoil. A lot of you have expressed that you have straight up just quit the game because the weapons are so unwieldy. So we're going to get into all of the Gunsmith mechanics, how you want to be setting up your guns, some of the best setups, and also how you upgrade your guns the fastest and get all of those attachments unlocked. I have done one of these videos before in the alpha, but a few things have changed with the game, so I want to do a new updated version for you guys here. If you enjoyed the content here on the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. There will be plenty more Delta Force guides to come in the future. I really want to make a video on the best weapons. I'm going to be doing a video on vehicles, how to fly helicopters, and that sort of thing. So if that's something you're interested in, make sure you are subbed up for that. Alright guys, so let's just jump straight in here. The most important thing to know is actually how to unlock attachments for your gun the fastest, because without some of those, you're not going to get very far in this game at all. And there's two ways of doing that. The first way is, of course, just using the weapon, accruing experience, and unlocking attachments in the more traditional manner. But the second way is by doing various daily tasks in the game. And this game has a lot of them. So you may notice between rounds that you will have these yellow exclamation marks blinking here over these various icons. You don't really need to worry too much about it. All you need to do is go in here and claim anything that you have completed. So you can see here, I've got some daily missions: rescue 3 squad mates, use Stinger's smokescreen 3 times, and then use Shepard's sonic paralysis 3 times as well. You don't need to worry too much about it. I just pretty much play the game. But what you want to make sure you are doing is between rounds, you are claiming these rewards. And as you claim these daily missions, you will progress across or along these reward tracks here and unlock these important weapon XP boosters. And honestly, the system is pretty confusing and convoluted. So there are a lot of these various XP tracks here. There's this top pick one. There's a special event here called On the Threshold that will get you some of these boosters. If we go and take a look here, tactical armament, you can actually use these special tickets that you get. And once you've used this, I think 75 times, you will unlock this skin. But when you do this, you'll often get these boxes. And you may be wondering, well, what are these boxes? I'm willing to bet a lot of you just don't even touch them. If we back out of this menu, and then we come down here and you go to collection, then you hit up items, you will actually see these boxes can be opened. So if we open this one here, you can choose between weapon XP boosters or an intermediate supply pack, which is to be used in the operations mode. So if you're more of a player like me and you prefer warfare and you're not really playing the extraction mode, you can go ahead and just click the weapon XP boosters. Boom, you've got some of those. Now, how do you actually apply these? So head over to Loadout, click modify on your weapon, go to progression here at the top, and all you do is click upgrade. You can apply all of them to your weapon, as many as it will allow. The max level for this weapon is 76, so I'm actually not going to bother wasting them here, but you would just click upgrade and you will boost yourself up like a bunch of levels all at once, unlocking a ton of attachments. Now, if you want to access the firing range at any point, what you need to do is come to the loadout screen, press Y on your keyboard, and boom, you'll be straight in there. And this firing range is probably the best firing range I've seen in any game to date, way better than even Battlefields, where you actually had to load into a map. You can just come and leave, you hit escape, leave firing range, press Y, you're straight back in there. It's pretty damn cool. There's a lot of stuff you can mess around with here, so you can see the damage that you do there, 20 in the body, 38 in the head. You can press O on the keyboard to reset all of the stats, and you can even change the distance that the dummies are going to be away from you here, as well as their maximum HP, if you want to try out different things in that regard. So this is a really well thought out test range, and this is definitely, where you want to come to test your weapons as you're setting them up. So let's talk a little bit about weapon stats and what you actually want to be going for. Let's just leave the test range. If you actually come into tab here, these weapon loadouts are all going to be, I believe, for the operations mode. So when you're setting up for warfare, you want to leave the firing range. Now, if we go and click modify, I have this weapon here set up for maximum control. And if you click this little 3-dot menu here to view the details, and then you click details again on the weapon, you're going to see and get an explanation of exactly what all of the stats in the game do. And for me, the most important ones are going to be control, and then it's going to be stability, and then also handling, in fact. So you can see this M4A1, I've got it set up here for more control and handling. What control is going to do is drastically reduce all of the recoil modifiers, and you can see an interpretation of that here graphically. So this is turning all of the recoil down from -1 to -0.47, so it's cutting it effectively more than in half for me right now. If we then go down to stability, stability is also pretty important. It's going to reduce how much you flinch when you're being hit by the enemy. So if you're in a bit of a firefight where he's shooting you, you're shooting them, then you definitely want to be paying close attention to that. It's also going to have an effect on the weapon sway. So you may not know this, but you can actually hold your breath with any weapon in Delta Force, not just sniper rifles and DMRs. And increasing your stability means you can hold your breath for longer. It means the current sway is going to be a little bit less there as well. And then, of course, handling is also incredibly important. This reduces your ADS time, it reduces your ADS movement speed, sprint fire delay, all the things that you want to be decreasing to be snappy and be able to win those firefights in a decisive manner. Now, you will be forgiven for thinking that accuracy was incredibly important. It turns out the accuracy stat in this game only applies to hipfire. So if you're spending a lot of time increasing this, thinking, oh, surely accuracy has got to make my weapon more accurate, well, yes, in a sense, but only for hipfire. So I pretty much ignore this unless you're going for some, I don't know, SMG setup that's like run and gun, but it's not really the kind of game for that. And then last but not least, we have the damage. Now, you can't really change the damage model of the weapons at all, as far as I know in this game, but this will show you the steps down here with the damage. It also shows you, the weapon fall off, that is to say, and it also shows you here how much bullet impacts are going to do. So for the M4A1 here, it's 20 damage everywhere, and then 38 in the head, which is a 1.9 times multiplier. It actually doesn't explain what the headshot multipliers are, but I figured them all out, and I'm going to share that with you guys in just a second here. So if we back out of this menu here, let's go into modify again. You can sort of see how I've set things up. So you want to just work on unlocking as many attachments for your weapon as you can. And then really what I do, so if we unequip this grip here, this is how I kind of like to think about it. I just pretty much think, okay, what do I want? More control, and for this specific setup, more handling. And I'm just going to look down here, look at the stats as I'm clicking through them, which is going to give me the best control and the best handling. Obviously, some of them come with trade-offs. So for example, the Phantom one here gives you 7 handling, 3 control, but you lose a little bit of stability. Well, this loadout is all about basically being able to aim with little recoil and get the drop on my enemy through better handling. So I don't care too much about stability, so I'm going to go with the Phantom grip there. And this is sort of how I approach all of the attachments. You can set your weapons up in different manners, right? So for this one, we've gone more control, more handling, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you don't want to go for a setup that has maybe more stability and control and less handling. If you're playing from range, you don't really need to be ADSing super, super fast. But I would say these are the 3 stats here that you really want to be paying attention to. Okay, next up, let's talk about calibrating your attachments. So if you come across here to calibrate, certain attachments have different things that you can change here. So first of all, we've got the weapon placement, and you'll see as you drag this that if we go in the minus direction here, it increases your ADS speed, or buffs it, that is to say, but it gives you less control. And if we go in the opposite direction, then the opposite is true. So if you really want to go for, I don't know, let's say maximum control, you can slide that all the way over there. If we come down to the thickness here, you'll notice as you slide this around, if we slide this up, for example, that you gain stability when moving, but we're losing ADS movement speed. So again, if you care more about that control stability when moving there and you want a solid weapon, you can slide these completely up, but you are going to be losing some of that ADS speed, some of that ADS movement speed, which is basically handling. For me, honestly, I generally just keep these at the default values, but you can play around with it. I know a lot of people do swing these completely in one direction or the other. So play around with it a little bit for yourself, come into the test range, and when you're happy, just come up here to the dummies and see, are you able to control the weapon well enough to get some of those kills at range. Okay, next up, let's talk a little bit about headshot multipliers. So this is a great test dummy here. And as I mentioned before, 20 in the body with this weapon, 38 there in the head. Now, this is pretty comparable if you're somebody coming from Battlefield to that game. Assault rifles will have headshot multipliers of 1.9. I've tested all the weapons in the game, and this is how it works. So, all of the weapons have a 1.9 headshot multiplier, except for the sniper rifles, which have a 2.4 times multiplier. That makes sense. That they're going to be a one-shot kill in the head at any range, at least most of them. And then the SMGs. The SMGs is where things really change here. So let's just go ahead here and... Wait a minute, we've got to switch classes here. Let's go support. And let's take the SMG 45 here and equip that. Hop back in the test range. And now you're going to see that, for example, this weapon does 26 in the body and only 32.5 in the head. So the headshot multiplier of this weapon actually turns out to be 1.25. In Battlefield 2042, I believe it's 1.55. So going for headshots or scoring headshots in general with SMGs in this game isn't really that big of a deal. You pretty much just want to be going for center mass, not worrying about going for the head at all. And yeah, you know, this weapon's an absolute beast either way, but I just thought that's worth mentioning there if you're somebody who is thinking about going for headshots off at those farther distances. Like, you just don't really need to worry about it with this weapon at all. Okay, so once you've got your weapon set up, you've put on all of your attachments, you've unlocked everything, you've calibrated things exactly how you want it, what you then want to do is come across to Loadout and then click Save. And then you have one of 5 slots that you can save it to, and you can change these inside of the game as well and switch between these 5 different custom loadout slots. So I only have one at the moment. It's called Control, but as you know, it's kind of Control/Handling. So if I wanted to make a completely different setup that was maybe more like Control and Stability, I can just come here and call this Control Stability, if I can actually spell, and then click Save. And then boom, you've got 2 different loadouts here that you can change both in-game and here in the menu. Additionally, something else that they've added now in the open beta are these recommended setups. So some of them are recommended by streamers, apparently. It doesn't actually say who the streamer is who recommended them, which I think is a bit of an oversight. But it also doesn't explain, like, what are these loadouts? What are they here to accomplish? You know, I kind of like to set my loadouts up to accomplish certain ways of playing the game, certain benefits, certain drawbacks, but these ones, you can just sort of flick through them here, take a look at the stats and how they change. Some of them are also designer recommended. And then one other thing that is worth bearing in mind is that you can import and export your loadouts. So for example, I will link this loadout here in the description down below, and all I need to do is click import down there, then click share loadout, and it will output this string. I will put this string for you guys in the description, and you will come to this exact same panel here, only you're going to go to import loadout, and you just paste it in there, click the little magnifying glass, and it should come up with this exact same loadout with these exact same attachments, which is one of the absolutely most cool features about the Gunsmith in Delta Force. Bear in mind though, that to put on this loadout, or indeed any of these, you will need every single one of the attachments unlocked. If you try and equip this and click apply loadout, you're going to see it just says that, like, you don't have all of the attachments there. So do bear that in mind. So there you go, guys. Hopefully this helped out some of you who were a little bit confused. Like, I don't blame you. It took me a good while to get to grips with the system as well. I am going to be doing a separate video on some of my favorite weapons that I've found in the game that I deem to be particularly powerful and worth actually upgrading using your weapon XP boosters on, because you don't want to waste them on a terrible weapon and then have it turn out to be not that great. I'm also going to be doing another video on all of the best settings in the game that I've found so far, so stay tuned for that one. But otherwise, thank you guys so much for watching. As always, have a good day, and I'll see you guys in the next video.